So when coming into this class, I wasn't really sure what I was going to be learning about exactly, but I was surprised when a variety of the topics we discussed in this class applied to and furthered my understanding of the techniques I use in my day-to-day life as a visual artist. I had kind of assumed briefly that the topics were going to cover things that may apply to my own work as an artist, but I didn't expect them to apply so much so to this extent. So my favorite topic that we covered in this class was the exploration of the different kinds of illusions and how our optic system registers them, as well as why they work. Specifically, illusions such as color illusions, as well as the illusions of the three-dimensional surface in a two-dimensional picture plane. The Joseph Albers color plates are a prime example of the color illusions that we covered in this class. His plates play off the influence of surrounding colors and shades to change your perception of a single color. When a single color is placed upon two different backgrounds with different luminosities, the color will interact differently with your cones, and the color will appear to be two separate colors rather than the same color. An example of this is on Albers' plate V1A. I found it very interesting that with the painterly textured background that gradates from a black to white and is surrounded by the solid gray picture frame, it appears to get darker at the bottom. In reality, the frame is one solid gray hue, which is caused by the fact that the shader tint of the color on the inside of the frame alters our perception of the frame itself. For example, in the specific illusion, if the color is surrounded by another color that is darker than it, the color will appear lighter than if it is surrounded by a color that is lighter than itself. When this is combined, it creates what seems to be a gradation from a light gray to a dark gray frame. This illusion overall works due to the fact that when colors interact with those of different hues, the contrast between them changes, causing our eyes to perceive these colors differently enough that our optic system is tricked into thinking that the color is changing or is different than what we would expect. In many cases, with these kind of illusions, even if you know the illusion is happening, it's very difficult not to be tricked by the illusions. So with techniques that create the illusion of a three-dimensional surface are ones that I feel like I use the most and that I am fascinated by the most in my artwork and just learning about them in general. I've been using these techniques for many years, but never really understood how they technically worked with our optic system, other than the fact that darker colors push back and the lighter colors are pushed forward to create this sense of depth. Learning about all of these different techniques of creating these illusions, such as changes in luminosity of the colors and the density of color, with like how much light is from the paper the color lets through, as well as the relation of colors when placed next to each other, can create this illusion of depth on a two-dimensional surface. All of these illusions tend to be interpreted by our optical cones, and the way that our cones interpret these illusions is key to understanding how these illusions work. Typically, when we are faced with a color or series of colors, it is the job of our cones to interpret the details in color, as our rods don't typically interpret these kind of, they don't interpret color and fine detail, so that these colors and details can be sent to our brains and we can form these images and process them. So that was my favorite topic that we learned in this class, and I hope you have a great day.